The word is change. So we know that change is constant, and every day change happen. Change is risky. Change is also daring. So the change that is happening around you, or the change that you're making, is it worth it? I am Crystal Lenz. I'm coming to you from the beautiful city of Port of Spain. So I dropped Ezra to school and I decide I'm gonna come to Port of Spain because I wanted to do this video. I was here, but for some reason I didn't really like how it come out, so I'm here again attempting this video. Anyway, so we know that change is something that we must do. It will happen regardless to what. Change happen in all different ways. But do you find that the change that is happening around you or you are making, is it worth it? Because for instance, take having a baby as a first time parent is something that you're not accustomed to. Now when you give birth to that baby, you realize that you can't do things like how you used to before, because you know babies, their time of getting up sometimes is not what you're accustomed to doing. There's a person that like to sleep, but that child don't want to sleep. That child chooses to get up in the middle of the night when you're ready to sleep. Now you have to suit your time now to how that baby respond, because the baby can't take care of himself, right? And then when they reach the age where they have to walk, that's another thing, because you know how babies move. Sometimes they tend to move fast, so you have to monitor that baby because you don't want nothing to happen to that baby, right? But change is a must. Sometimes change happening us, our bodies. Sometimes you're going through something and you realize there's a change. Do you really like how your change is progressing? You're telling yourself that I want to change me, I want to do something different. What is the process of you changing? Or you have gone through a big change. How you're working with that change? You ever question yourself? And then you had a transition to something else. You had a change. Like if you want to move from one place to the another, is a big step. Suppose it's some place that you're accustomed growing. You're growing. And you're okay with that. But you know you have to change. You know you have to move. Is it risky? Has you started the process? You have to talk to people and ask, I wonder if this is the right thing that I'm doing. Some change that we don't like, you know. But sometimes change is good. Sometimes it's far better. Some changes mightn't be too good. It depends on what it is. Relationship is another thing. Relationship change, evolve. Job, moving from one job to the another. Now you have to change to suit the job that you're working sometimes, because sometimes to communicate with the people around you, you can't go about the same way like how it is. You have to either be a little more open. Sometimes you have to speak up. Sometimes you have to be strong sometimes, because you can't be a pushover all the time. And that time, if there's a person who don't know how to submit, you have to learn how to submit, because trust me, you won't stay in that job too long. But if there's a person that is a pushover, you can't always just go work out to see as somebody, she look like we could do she anything you want. Sometimes you have to stand your grounds. There is something in you you're not accustomed doing. Sometimes you have to know when to humble and then know when to speak out. Change is something, even in the world today, we say we bring it, building new things, making new things for the other generation because they can't keep the old one. The old things that was there, the new generation cannot handle. So you have to do things for the new generation. So now you have to modernize because the new generation mightn't understand what this old thing is about. But the ones who was there before, they see and change and it's like we not accustomed to this, so now you have to try and learn. So now it's something a process. Change is a process. Change is a must, whether we like it or not. I know there are times in my life I had to make change, but I still have to do some changes because I see that my life is evolving. There's some decisions I still have to make because if I don't make that decision, I won't become who I supposed to become. Yeah, sometimes now you have something to do. Your life was meant to be something greater, but you're in a place where you're not supposed to be. But you're not going to be that person who you're supposed to be because you're there. Unless you realize that something isn't right and you decide, you know what? Something had to change. Either where I living, I had to come out of. Maybe I'm hanging around with the wrong person. Or me, probably there are some things in me I have to get rid of in order to change. Right? So blessings supposed to come. Right? But your blessings not gonna come unless something happen. You might have to pray, you might have to fast, you might have to seek help. Yeah. That's a change too. In order for that blessing to come. Change happens every single day, every second. We may not see it. Like a butterfly, for instance, a butterfly starts off with just egg and then a caterpillar. I don't really like caterpillars too much. You see this big worm just eating, and then eventually it goes into a cocoon. And within that cocoon, you see it metamorphose, however, it changing it within to that cocoon. When it comes out of the cocoon, it emerges into a butterfly, a beautiful butterfly. There is a change that nobody wasn't expecting. How this worm to become a butterfly like that. Right, so change is something that have to happen. So my question is to you, how is the process of change in your life? Do you think it worth it? Right, change have already happened and it worth it. You feel you need to change some more, or you feel you're good? And if you don't like the change, what you're doing to transition into what you want to happen? Ask yourself that question. So, and if you want to make that change, pay before God, seek help, talk to somebody. Because sometimes change is things that we don't like. Sickness and all does bring change that we don't like. That. So, until then, this is me saying, have a good day. God bless. Later, guys.